Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video I'm taking you to the Open Great League, where a trainer just reached the Legend rank with an incredibly cool team built around Jirachi and Shadow Charizard. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, AJ Grossest, so many thanks for the battle submission. Now, at the start of the season, both Shadow Charizard and Jirachi received quite a few updates, with Jirachi getting a buff to Confusion and getting access to Aura Sphere. For the lead on this team, AJ is running Goodra, a pretty bulky Pokemon that can tank hits, so that way the two Glacier Pokemon in the back have amazing sweep potential. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and let's watch this battler climb to Legend. Off to a pretty neutral start in game number 1, leading Goodra into Primate. This team has two better answers in the back, so after a few Dragon Breaths, out comes Jirachi. Jirachi is going to be hit with a Rage Fist, and now the opponent is going to be sending out Unova Stunfisk. This is an incredibly important bait out for Jirachi, as obviously both Jirachi and Charizard would do extremely poorly, whereas Goodra is going to have a winning matchup. So now in comes Goodra, and Goodra is more than happy to absorb these Mud Bombs. Mud Bomb is not a problem for the bulky Goodra, so Goodra can use this as an opportunity to farm up a little bit of extra energy and then look to take a knockout with the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail lands, down goes the Stunfisk, and will the opponent bring back in the Primeape? If they do, they're going to get outpaced. No, they bring in Corviknight, and oh my goodness, now that the Stunfisk has been baited out, Shadow Charizard is about to burn it all down. Goodra grabs the shield with the Thunder Punch. Opponent did not realize how much residual energy Goodra had, and Goodra's able to get to a second Thunder Punch. This Thunder Punch is going to land. It's a charge attack priority tie that is devastating for the opponent. Air Cutter lands, and now it's time. Charizard hits the field. Opponent did get the Air Cutter boost, which means suddenly their damage is a lot more threatening. So Charizard will put up the shield, and Charizard will look to knock them out with the Air Cutter. Air Cutter into the Corviknight is going to land. Corviknight does get knocked out. Back in comes the Primeape. There's no win con, and the opponent will resign the match. Tough opponent in the next match, going up against regional champion Nighttime Clasher. It's a pretty okay matchup on lead, as Goodra's going to lead into Golisopod. It looks like Goodra locked into a CMP tie on an Aqua Tail bait, so getting a shield would be incredibly important to help Goodra outpace. Aqua Tail does get the shield, and that means Goodra will outpace. Goodra gets to the Thunder Punch, and what a devastating catch, as the opponent is going to catch that Thunder Punch onto Shadow Steelix. Out comes Jirachi. Jirachi will be able to hit for big damage with Aura Sphere. Aura Sphere should not be taking a one-hit KO, but Steelix is going to get absolutely rocked. Steelix has farmed up a truly massive amount of energy. Jirachi going to be no-shielding, as Crunch would be knocking it out. Oh my goodness, Steelix assuming the shield, baited with the Psychic Fangs, and that's a massive bait call, as Aura Sphere now takes the KO. In the back is going to be Shadow Dusknoir, and things could get a little bit scary because Shadow Dusknoir, the fast move damage is just so oppressive against the Charizard. Charizard goes straight for the Air Cutter, getting the shield and getting the catch. Oh my goodness, Nighttime Clasher with a nasty catch earlier, but AJ Grossest fights right back. Charizard just has to make sure that it can survive the Astonishes. That's the biggest concern for the Zard at this moment. Charizard is going to make it to this Air Cutter, and Air Cutter will be delivering the knockout. But the Charizard is very low. The good news is this is a Fury Cutter Golisopod that's double resisted, and the opponent is unable to get that farm down. Air Cutter's reached, down goes Golisopod, and that's a good game. Hopping into the next match, leading Goodra into Togekiss. Now this is a bit of an unfortunate matchup for the Goodra, so we will see an immediate switch out into Jirachi. Jirachi going to be answered with Gastrodon. Oh my goodness, incredible charge attack timing from AJ. You love to see it. Gastrodon will have to throw a Water Pulse. They don't throw the Water Pulse, and that's going to cost them. Maybe not familiar with the pacing on the Jirachi, they're forced to burn a shield, and look at the Jirachi. It's a Steel type into a ground, and it was able to get so much damage out of that Gastrodon, and it was able to force a shield advantage. Goodra's more than happy to be hit with the body slams, and Goodra will now exit this matchup pretty close to a Thunder Punch, which should be pretty threatening into the Togekiss. Out comes the Togekiss, and there is Goodra, locked and loaded. Thunder Punch into the Togekiss is going to be no-shielded. In comes Shadow Charizard. The Togekiss is not switching out, and it looks like Charizard won charge attack priority with the Air Cutter. Air Cutter is going to be shielded. No boost comes through, but now the opponent has no shields, and that's a terrifying spot to be against the Charizard. Charizard needing to double shield, but it's up energy. It should be able to outpace anything in the back. Opponent sends out Furret. Now this could get a little bit scary because the Blast Burn does not one-shot, but the Switch Clock should be available. So Blast Burn lands, in comes the Goodra. That is very well played. The Blast Burn does not knock out, but enforcing their energy, back in comes the Charizard, and Charizard will be able to outpace the Togekiss and take home the win. So a pretty rough start. Togekiss on the Goodra, Gastrodon on the Jirachi. That game, still going to be a winner. Goodra into Fortress. This is a bit of a scary matchup for the Goodra, as Goodra is able to outpace the Fortress quite severely, but Bug Bites do definitely add up. Rock Tomb, not the fastest pacing charge move with Bug Bite, but it's going to remove almost Goodra's entire health bar. So Goodra is going to be no shielding. Rock Tomb is going to land. There's the switch. Out comes Jirachi. Jirachi met with a Furret. Now, Furret is actually going to be under a ton of pressure. Aura Sphere is an incredibly hard-hitting move, and just like that, Furret puts up the shield. Sucker Punch hits for super effective, but the charge attacks from Furret are actually resisted. Furret goes for the Trailblaze, hoping the boosted Sucker Punches will deliver a knockout, but they do not. Jirachi hangs on, making it to a second Aura Sphere, and oh my goodness, they just gave a Shadow Charizard a 2-0 shield advantage. In comes the Goodra. Goodra saved energy from earlier and puts it to use here. Thunder Punch lands, in comes the Charizard, in the back is Unova Stunfisk. One Blast Burn does not one-shot, so going for the Air Cutter is actually the correct play, because you need the damage, and you can fish for a boost, and there it is, the boost right on cue. Discharge will be shielded. Charizard is going to make it to the Blast Burn. This is a boosted Blast Burn from a Shadow Charizard. There will be no survivors. Down goes Stunfisk. In comes the Furret. Furret does have quite a bit of stored energy, as Furret forces the final shield with the Swift. Charizard is going to make it to the Air Cutter, guaranteeing the knockout onto the Furret. And then all that's left in the back is going to be that low health Fortress. These Embers, absolutely criminal damage. Charizard getting to the Air Cutter, getting the full 1v3 sweep, and that was set up beautifully by Jirachi, forcing both shields in the mid-game. Goodra versus Guzzlord in the next match. Goodra, obviously its charge attacks are going to be walled here, but considering there's a Psychic type in the back and a Fire type, you don't really want to switch out. So Goodra is just going to try and play this out as best as it can. Goodra will fire off the Aqua Tail. Unfortunately, that's not going to do much. Goodra will get to a Thunder Punch. Thunder Punch is going to be hitting for more damage than the Aqua Tail. Thunder Punch does actually get shielded. In comes the Charizard. Charizard, no! Answered with a Shadow Bastiodon. Oh, this is devastating. Shadow Charizard, so deadly with an advantage, but it's just getting deleted by the Bastiodon. In comes Jirachi. Jirachi's going to have its work cut out for it in this game. The good news is Jirachi takes basically no fast move damage, so this is a golden opportunity for Jirachi to farm up a massive amount of energy. Jirachi now has an Aura Sphere and a Doom Desire banked, so whatever gets brought in, Jirachi is ready. It's going to be the Guzzlord. Jirachi is going to take the confusion, as Guzzlord will go for the Brutal Swing. Jirachi continues to farm, but Guzzlord, all this residual energy is such a problem. A Brutal Swing lands. That puts Jirachi too low. Goodra gets sniped down in the back. Oh no, they were actually weak to Jirachi. Unfortunately, into an Azumarill Bastiodon backline, there was just nowhere for Charizard to go. So, no Legend this set, as that set will be a 4-1 to get him to 2981. We've got the Battle of Dragons in the next match. Goodra into Altaria. Goodra will have the pacing advantage, able to connect with the Thunder Punch, but Thunder Punch does not hit particularly hard. Goodra will continue the farm. Altaria gonna go for a Sky Attack. Goodra with an immediate no shield. Goodra is going to be banking just shy of an Aqua Tail and sending in Jirachi. Jirachi answered with a Shadow Feraligatr. That would be a really tough Pokemon for Charizard to deal with. Aura Sphere does get the shield. Opponent actually throws pretty early in this matchup. Jirachi going to be shielding right back. Jirachi going to try and get to this Aura Sphere. Jirachi is going to be making it to the Aura Sphere, as the opponent does not fire off the Hydro Cannon. Aura Sphere will be shielded. Can they get the full farm down? It's going to be close. Oh my goodness. They bailed at the last second, so it ends up being a catch onto the Goodra. That is a little bit unfortunate. Out comes Charizard, and speaking of unfortunate, it's a Unova Stunfisk in the back once again. The opponent came prepared. Charizard really had nowhere to run against this team. Charizard has to be shielding up everything. Unfortunately, no Air Cutter boost this time. Discharge will be shielded, getting to the Blast Burn on charge attack priority. Blast Burn, it's easily going to be picking up the knockout onto the Stunfisk, but the issue is there's still the Altaria, there's still the Feraligatr, and Feraligatr is loaded. In comes Altaria. Altaria does get to the Sky Attack, and that will unfortunately seal it. Sky Attack takes the knockout, and this set at 2981, this battler is going to need to go 4-1, and unfortunately, they just lost the first game of the set, so they're going to need to win the next 4. Well, that is a good place to start, leading Goodra into Feraligatr. Goodra just gonna fire off the Thunder Punch instantly, looking to land some damage onto the Gator. Gator puts up the shield. Gator does have enough for the Ice Beam. Tough decision point in the match. The no shield, calling the Hydro Cannon, a stone cold bait call. And this Hydro Cannon will not knock out the Goodra. It will be very, very close, but Goodra should be able to hang on. And now the opponent has to decide, is it really worth burning both shields on this initial matchup? They say no. They get Dragon Breath down. Goodra winning shield advantage and switch advantage is everything, because now Jirachi is going to completely invalidate Credilli. In the back, the opponent is going to reveal Galarian Moltres. Moltres going to be hit with an Air Cutter. Opponent should know this is not enough for a Blast Burn, but Charizard is just going to be spamming out these Air Cutters now. I think double Blast Burn probably would have been the safer play pattern here, but either way, this game will end in a win, as the opponent will get the farm down, and Jirachi is one off. So Jirachi can pretty safely shield, and then fire off the Doom Desire. If the opponent catches onto the Credilli, then Jirachi should be able to farm up to the back-to-back and still win the game. They don't end up getting the catch, so this game will still be over. As back in comes the Credilli. Credilli can go for a Rock Tomb, but it just doesn't do nearly enough to take the win. So they will go for the Rock Tomb. It does get shielded, but look at this. This is a -1 Doom Desire. Credilli gets absolutely shredded. Opponent doesn't want the smoke, and they will concede the match. Goodra versus Shadow Feraligatr. Okay, back-to-back games, back-to-back Feraligatrs. Definitely off to a better start than that first match. No baits this time from Goodra, straight for the Thunder Punch, and Feraligatr will put up the shield. Goodra called a bait once, Goodra calling a bait yet again, and again it's going to be the Hydro Cannon. This time, since it's the Shadow Feraligatr, the second Hydro Cannon would easily knock out, but Goodra is here to generate a shield advantage, and once it's done that, now it's Charizard time. In comes the Charizard. Charizard will fire off the Air Cutter on charge attack priority. Air Cutter lands, that takes the knockout, no boost, and it's Azumarill. Azumarill answered with Jirachi. Oh my goodness, Clodsire in the back. So Charizard not going to be particularly useful in this game, but the Jirachi is the key to victory. These confusions shredding the Clodsire. Clodsire will probably go for baits, but honestly, they can't even land an Earthquake in the 2s. They're just going to get fully farmed down. And Poison Sting does such little damage to Jirachi, they're just going to undertap, but a free Confusion is a free Confusion. Jirachi's thrilled at that. They will go for the Earthquake. Now out comes Azumarill. The one scenario where the opponent could get back in this game is Hydro Pump. Azumarill have been known to run Hydro Pump a little bit more frequently this season just because of Pokemon like Bastiodon. There's the move, and that's not a Hydro Pump. That's going to be a Play Rough, and Jirachi just consistently putting in the damage in this matchup. Doom Desire is going to land. There's the switch into the Charizard. Charizard didn't really have a lot of play into this backline, but it gets in on the fun, taking the knockout of the Azumarill. All that's left is a couple HP on a Clodsire, and that's going to be a win. 2-1 in the set, and a pretty good lead for game number 4. Starting off a set 0-1 can always be a pretty stressful experience. Opponent tries for a catch, but they do not get it. And now Altaria is answered with the Jirachi. Jirachi has to respect Flamethrowers. That would hit for massive super effective damage. Jirachi continues the farm, almost at the back-to-back Doom Desires, and this will hit pretty hard. But Altaria is very bulky. Altaria can survive. Altaria just not able to make it to the Flamethrower, and that's critical for Jirachi, as Jirachi will have to give up its final shield if it wants switch advantage, but by forcing the shield back, now it's more than happy just to let this go and go for farm on the Charizard. So this works out amazingly, because you never want to be down a shield, so getting that shield back means that the Jirachi is very happy just to let this go. Back in comes the Empoleon. Empoleon banked a bunch of energy from earlier. Empoleon's Hydro Cannon will get the shield. Here's the Blast Burn from the Shadow Charizard. Does the opponent try and call a bait? Blast Burn is going to be shielded. Charizard farming. There's going to be a switch from the opponent, and their final Pokemon is revealed to be a Shadow Malamar. Malamar will get chipped down by the repeated charge attack barrage from the Goodra, but the tricky thing is for the opponent is they don't want to be too healthy, because if they take the knockout and they're too healthy, that's just going to feed energy to the Charizard. Superpower lands, taking the knockout. In comes the Charizard. Charizard gets farm. It's going to be a race to the finish. Charizard versus Empoleon, and Charizard wins charge attack priority. The opponent had to get themselves lower, but even with the superpower, it still gave Charizard that perfect farm, and now Legend will be decided on this game number 5. And unfortunately, it's a lead that this team has already lost to, leading into Guzzlord. Guzzlord farms up a ton of energy. Looks like Goodra played to the CMP tie as Guzzlord built up to a potential Dragon Claw. Goodra actually going to protect against the Dragon Claw. Guzzlord only going to end up going for the Brutal Swing. Goodra going to be getting to another Aqua Tail, just trying to get this Guzzlord as low as possible. The Aqua Tail is going to land. Guzzlord will return fire with another Brutal Swing. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of fast move pressure available into this mon in the back, and out comes Shadow Scizor. Out comes Charizard, and it's time. Charizard has to respect a Shadow Knight Slash. It would do way too much damage, but a 1-shield farm down means Charizard exits absolutely loaded and with quite a lot of energy. Opponent is going to send in a Confusion Cresselia as their final mon. Charizard's Air Cutter is going to be shielded. No boost comes through. Charizard now going to be going for the Blast Burn. The good news is the Cresselia is going to get completely shut down by Jirachi. Blast Burn is going to be shielded. There's the switch. In comes Jirachi. And what is Cresselia going to do? Cresselia has no coverage against Steel types. Moonblast, Jirachi simply does not care. Jirachi now going to return fire with the Doom Desire. Doom Desire is a very efficient attack. Even against a bulky Pokemon like the Cresselia, it's still going to do quite a bit. In comes the Guzzlord. Guzzlord hoping Brutal Swing will knock out the Jirachi, and it does. Charizard gets the farm down. Is it one off the Blast Burn? It is one off the Blast Burn. The energy management exquisite in this final game. If you noticed, when he switched into that Jirachi earlier on, he did one Ember and deferred the Confusion. And that exact play is what lets him make the Blast Burn and reach the Legend rank. Unbelievable plays from this trainer and a very creative team. I know it's back-to-back days on the channel where Shadow Charizard is absolutely taking lives, but it's just really, really strong right now. And not only is Emmy Weedle hitting rank 1 with it, not only am I climbing a bunch with it, but we have AJ hitting Legend with Shadow Charizard as well. But I think what made this team stand out is the Jirachi. Jirachi is a Pokemon that not a lot of teams really account for when it comes to team building, and I know at least when I play against them in the Go Battle League, I'm oftentimes caught off guard. It's not a top meta Pokemon, it's more anti-meta, but I think it's pretty well positioned into quite a few teams. So if you're looking to spice things up a little bit, like AJ did, he had some pretty nice results with this team. Anytime there's a Shadow Charizard on the team will oftentimes rely a lot on your energy management and your ability to set up either the Jirachi or the Shadow Charizard with an advantage to let them sweep. But as you get more comfortable playing with like those Glacier, Glass Cannon playstyles, it's very rewarding, and I do think that it does, in the end, overall make you a better battler. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoy watching content like this, please do consider leaving a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you, as always, to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is genuinely so appreciated. So thank you guys so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.